What's going on, y'all? It's Jason Reviews here, back at it again with another video. As you guys can see, and as I originally planned on doing yesterday before SM dropped, but Young Ill versus John Didon street status finally drops 4 years after the fact. Happened all the way back in 2019, and I think especially with the reputation that Ill has of when footage doesn't come out and things like that, that it was just a murder. I've heard for years that what I'm saying, like it was just a 3-0 body bag, and I'd even heard multiple chokes from Ill, things like that. And it dropped, and I could say some of that was greatly exaggerated, you know what I'm saying? In this review, I'm just going to go over what parts obviously were and what may not have been. But finally drops also with Big K versus Young Ill being announced for Max Out 3. Didn't really do an individual announcement video on it because I knew not new, but I was thinking about doing a video for Young Ill, something about his career in general. Still might do it. And then this comes out, perfectly to review and talk a little bit about what maybe from this would be Ill's last solo battle, if I'm correct, last 1v1 battle. So from there in Briz, what needs to be improved, what's still good, and what probably needs to be adapted to like a modern era. What do we see other elite battlers of this era doing that maybe you see missing from maybe one of these Ill performances. And as for Big K and Young Ill, crazy return obviously for Max Out 3. Got to go with Big K early on, but I would not be shocked if Young Ill is fantastic. Go more into detail with that when we do the full RB card predictions. But without further ado, let's hop right into the John Young Ill review in the first. So Ill leads off. The shoplifted Didon's name has a little like joking angle in the beginning about taking the Didon part from Hollow. And then this is a part where Ill's kind of like explaining his stats, and very early on I feel like I see something that could be detrimental, and that is there's this like history pocket, obviously going over how great he is, what he's done compared to John. But there's like a lack of real tailoredness, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just him kind of talking about his accolades, but without any creativity in the wordplay of it, or without any tailoredness. So while it's rapped well, and that's something you're always gonna get from the legends, the actual like physical rapping it's great. You know what I'm saying? That's why they're here to begin with. But I think that he hits this like dry spot. You know what I'm saying? Very early on, hits a pretty noticeable dry spot just because there's a lack of attacking. Like this is still battle rap, and it's not everything that lands in battle rap is technically attacking either, but there's some creativity to it. Like just rapping things the way they are, like just rapping very bluntly, and very, I feel like selective situations works, but in this one just kind of came off a little ramble-like. Then he gets to the John McCain bar, get John McCain, something of that nature, but it was definitely good. He had a Cisco scheme, he'll dye hair. It was a little like the bald head will make him dye hair is one of those. The bull, they call you bullpen, but they should flip it because you'll pen bull. So obviously, I'm saying the writing just looks a little bit outdated here in the first. But I will say towards the end, he has the you went from talk about how Atlanta is like Atlanta's a gay state, and said, oh, you went from the Big Apple to the Big Peach, but never benefited from the fruits of your labor. Like that. I thought that was actually a good bar. A couple multis in there, funny enough. You know what I'm saying? The rapping is most definitely there. And even a freestyle at the end. John's dressed up as a doctor, you know what I'm saying, during the battle. So he says, doctor, I'll choke you with your stethoscope. So cool little freestyle to end the first. But overall, you know what I'm saying, a first that has flaws. Just a guy that looks like, you know what I'm saying, he's getting back into it, right? So he's knocking off the rust as he goes. John goes in the first. And one thing to say, first of all, even though he's dressed up like a doctor, I know John had a thing. He was dressing up for a lot of different battles. Remember, he did the O-Red, you know what I'm saying, putting the suit on. That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. People got to win that battle. With all that being said, though, he's obviously, it's his gimmick here, and he just seems so much more polished. That's the one thing here. I mean, just way more confident in his delivery, which adds points. Watching on camera. He's the hawked over a Nick rebuttal. Atlanta, New York. That just means I'll get you hawked over a Nick. Fire. The P90 PhD bar was really dope. That's what it's do whatever the Dr. Sebi. Sebi. He had a flip on that. That was fire. Split a body, probably his best bar of the round. The split a body 6 ways, like 6 tuplets. Super, you know what I'm saying, crazy as well. So he's landing at an efficient rate, just clearly, just, more polished at the time. I mean, obviously, John in general is a legend, but around that 2018, 2019 area, he's giving you some of his best work. For the most part in his career, especially 2018, probably the best year of his career. Even has the whole doctor scheme, playing off different diseases, different flips with ill, and obviously the gimmick that he has. So John won the first, you know what I'm saying? The ill didn't choke or anything of that nature for real. A little freestyle at the end, but just for the most part, ill had a spotty round, and John was definitely up a clear 1-0 going into the second. And then transitioning over to the second round, you get to Ill, who this is probably his worst round of the battle. Well, it is his worst round of the battle. And this is where you start to see the flaws really kick in. And probably, with kind of what I point down the first really isn't like a treacherous first round, you know what I'm saying? It's just that there's certain lows and peaks that can't be ignored when watching it. But I think the second is where if you're live in the building and the battle never comes out, maybe this is what you remember, or the battle never comes out. Maybe this is what you remember, kind of the most, and why people kind of remember it, extremely lopsided. And that's because Ill starts out in the second, and once again, this time, not really even speaking on accolades or history, just kind of gets to rapping. And I mean, there's no other word that I can find that we use in our battle rap dictionary to describe it than kind of filler. You know what I'm saying? And that it's just, he gets to rap about like, I'll break these MCs, and then he's just like going off like they fear me. I'll make their bones crunch lyrically. Like that's not word for word what he's saying. Don't be wrong, but I mean it's of that realm of content where it's just like rapping about how good of a rapper you are. Eventually, and this is the funny part of Ill, is there is those standout haymakers still that show, you know what I'm saying, that he still has it, because he has the beefing with me, 1 star, I don't recommend it. So it's kind of like that witty, and the way he delivered it, it's kind of almost like a funny but yet hard-hitting punch, and only in a way really a young Ill can do. So even though he starts off with the rough start, he's that. The jokes, joking on John's appearance, a Utah Jazz, I'll give him dimes and dimes to John, dimes and dimes, John Stockton Malone flip, you know what I'm saying? It was a cool little mini scheme that was good. I ain't having it, company when the house dirty. So he's starting to get there a little bit, and then he freestyles to end his second, pretty obvious, and a little bit of random freestyling at that. So that just goes to show you, really rough start. Has a little bit of success in the middle, definitely one really standout bar, and then he freestyles kind of, you know what I'm saying, has a weird ending to his second. Meanwhile, John goes again, right? He had a Godzilla bar in the beginning that was really good. Talk about bring Remedy to the battle, and then I had a bring Reminisce. It was a Reminisce bar. Before, you know what I'm saying, I think that we've heard that word play a lot too, so definitely creative. They almost didn't make it, AC, fire, and then his best bar, really of the entire battle. I don't know about the entire battle. We're going to talk about his third. But put now you in front of the clips. Look, Marlon, say cheese. Crazy haymaker right in the middle of his round. Probably gets the round by then. And then he really, really shows the margin. You battle and read like Mayweather had a bar like that. Fire. That's why they call you ISO, you all alone. It was an ISO, all alone, playing off the Icepack name. The pass ill scheme on pass ill, kind of went on a little bit too long. And then he had the clip long as a Netflix binge watch. Hey, ill, you still watching? Crazy. So overall, once again, and even more to the effect, John wrote uphill. You know what I'm saying? His first, second, third, writes all the way uphill. And Ill obviously takes a huge dip in the second. So then it's a clear 2-0, and it's kind of an ugly 2-0 heading into the third round. So now to start off the third round, and once again, Ill starts off the third, and it's a lot more of that directionless kind of filler-esque rapping. And I want to say it because I've said this a few times, but I want to be very clear because I think a big disconnect between older fans and newer fans, people in the middle, right, is there's this debate of pure rapping just isn't appreciated. People don't appreciate good rapping. And to an extent, that's very true. I think, the farther you go back in battle rap's history, the more that just just pure rapping and just multis and flowing, you know what I'm saying, was appreciated. And now people say, oh, everything's got to be a punch. And to many fans, there is a little bit of an issue there where it's kind of a copy and paste punch era. But when it comes to something like this, right, I can appreciate the good rapping, like I said. But content has risen up, you know what I'm saying, a little bit. The pens have risen up in quality and creativity. And while not everything has to be a punch, we don't want anyone to turn the legends to turn themselves into straight punchers. But there needs to be a little bit more going at the opponent. Couple more double entendres just to, like, take a rhyme pocket and cap it off. You know what I'm saying, for the audience, for the people. There's the creativity, like I said, has risen so much. Just pure rapping, while that's a humongous part of it, it can't just be that. You can't just have this filler-esque rap where you're not attacking John, specific angle about him, a difference between you, really not even talking about yourself, just rapping. And I think that's pretty much the biggest thing that I think hurt him against Briz too. And you see creative lines against Briz, like, there's the ability for haymakers there, just a little bit more, even if it's just jabs, little bit more in there, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're going to angle, work the comedy. Comedy kind of works a little bit differently, right? Because we're laughing. It's less about, you know what I'm saying, about the flow or the cadence of it. There's still focus on the content there. So that's probably the one thing I'd say most that hurt Ill in this battle. Is there's just a lot of pockets where there's not attacking. And I think that's just ring rust that can be knocked off with the proper amount. Like, these are not unfixable things. I just think if you only pop up for 1 or 2 battles, it's hard to fully adapt to that era, right? But even the rest of his third is good. Oh, you got a special team? Well, let's kick it off then. That was fire. And even the Johnny on the spot bar that he had in this round hit crazy in the building too. So he's got a couple in there. And then even worse for him, John's third is amazing. And you know what I'm saying? This is a extremely one of the better John rounds you're going to hear. Obviously goes to the drug, the crackhead angle early. He lets his nose show, you know what I'm saying, doing drugs. If I let my nose show is for something else type of concept there. Put you on life support, and I try to run off on that plug. Very fire. And that's where it starts, really tunneling in. Tell your homies it's a food drive, bring cans. That's a little bit weak. And then after that, turn your fly fam to a wingman. Very, very clever. Didn't get the appreciation either in that building. He's an accomplishment portion, talk about what he's done for the game, but does it with so much more emphasis, more passion to it, more of a creative build around it. That's kind of the difference. They're talking about the same type of things, right? Applying to themselves, but John's setting it up and kind of landing it like to attack Ill in a sense. Uses your mom's going to be above your body using... Your mom's going to be using your slogan above your body. Who is this? You know what I'm saying? Crazy. Before Nitty was even said it, I go over your old steps like Ginobili. Crazy. My hands does wonders. Even have him looking at the Doctor Strange bars that are LBC now, but these are probably the first iterations of them. First Doctor Strange bars. First Ginobili Euro step bars. The slogan over the body, the fly fam to a wingman. Overall, man, insane John round, and puts a bow on a very, very clear and could be debated as a body bag 30 over Young L. And that is the review here for John and Young Yo 4 years after the fact. You know what I'm saying? Funny enough to be doing a review for it. Kind of like a flashback review in a way, even though nobody was even able to watch it before. You know what I'm saying? For those who've seen me do my flashback reviews on this channel. But you guys let me know down in the comments below, what did you think of John and Young Yo if you've watched it? And if you haven't, go watch it. Good piece of history there. One of the better John performances you're going to see. I saw a tweet John said, like, Ill wasn't even that bad. I was just, like, too crazy that night. And I'll say I think it was pretty okay. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he wasn't good. I'm not gonna go that far. Just from a content standpoint, it wasn't even as good as the content really I thought he had in this Briz battle. But it's not, he didn't choke like all three like people said, or it wasn't some like horrific like that of the Cortez or the O-Red performance, right? I think he just lost. I think he had some ring rust, and I think he just took a very dominant 3-0 loss. But for the most part, he has some bright spots, especially in the first, and I think a couple lines in the third. I mean, every round he has a haymaker that hits. But if you're going to compete, it's got to be more than that. You know what I'm saying? So we hope to see some of those dry spots turned maybe more into the comedy sections, performative sections, whatever it is that's still outwardly excitement. But I think just getting caught in just this rapping, like, just to rap in a sense, which sounds, so crazy, and I don't even mean to make it sound disrespectful in that sense, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying, that there still needs to be directness. You're still battling. It's not just rap, it's battle rap. But with all that being said, can't wait to see what Young Ills does against Big K. I think the environment really suits a Legend's return, and I think he has a potential to have one of the best performances of the night on that card. All that to get into. But it's been Jay Smo Reviews again, y'all. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of John versus Young Ill? I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.